Hello and welcome. I'm Sean Fox and this is Made to Ramble. This episode will be a little different from the usual. We won't be talking about cameras, nor will I be out and about shooting B-roll. I figure we're just starting the new year now and it's a pretty good time to reflect. You may have noticed behind me there that there's a few more background lights. Thanks to my son Anthony for providing those. I'm not sure what the letters are supposed to represent really. The number 8 back there might be my mental age, I guess. E for eternal and N for, I don't know, no. An important word in the age of Me Too. I've been trying to figure out what I'm doing with this channel for some time now. As I get more views from one video or another, I do change things around a little bit. Ultimately, I'm still trying to find my niche. My subscriber count has continued to rise slowly but steadily, so thanks to all of those of you who have subscribed. I'm hugely appreciative. In terms of the sort of content that I really enjoy creating, 2018 wasn't exactly the best year for me. I've been going a little stir crazy as this was the first year that I haven't been able to travel overseas in quite some time. It's been a little frustrating not being able to get away, you know. Little to do but masturbate and cry into my cornflakes. Ideally, the sort of content that I'm hoping to bring out in the future is travel oriented, but also focused on photography and videography. I'm hoping I can find a way to marry that all together, which is both interesting to photo and video enthusiasts, but also those of us who are just into travel. Whenever we're preparing to travel to some exotic new locale, we'll find ourselves combing through YouTube videos, finding interesting places that we want to explore, jotting down ideas. We'll be doing this for months before we take off. There are quite a few other channels already focused on travel, of course. You've got your traveling couples like Cara and Nate, and then you've got your more adventure-oriented travel channels, usually featuring, beautiful young people in exotic places, shirtless with rippling muscles, and of course hot chicks in G-strings. I don't really think I can compete in that area. I'm not quite as young and pretty as I once was, and I look terrible in a mankini. But I guess that's the point. Well, not that I look terrible in a mankini, just the fact that I'm not young and pretty. I first started making these videos because I had an interest in filmmaking and I just wanted to document my own travels, just for myself. For the first couple of years, these videos were pretty terrible. Not something that I would have wanted to share with the world. Pretty cringeworthy, but I found that there was something almost sort of hypnotic and meditative about the deep concentration involved in both the video making and the editing of the videos. It's just something that I really enjoyed doing, and given that I have quite a long history of depression and anxiety, there was something kind of therapeutic about it. And of course I did end up with a keepsake from my holidays. Really shit keepsake for the most part, but a keepsake nonetheless. So as tends to happen with these things, I found myself improving over time. I upgraded the gear that I was using. I started to focus a little more on composition and trying to create a narrative. I started putting up videos on YouTube so that friends and family could follow along with our adventures. It's kind of hard to tell a story when you're really just capturing a bunch of random images though, so then I figured perhaps I could lend some context to these images by narrating. And then it kind of seemed that perhaps an audience would connect better with the videos if I were talking directly to the camera. That was pretty damn nerve-wracking. I don't really enjoy seeing myself on camera, but given that Alex is even less comfortable in front of the camera than I am, and didn't really have a whole lot of other choices, I was making music videos with my friend Koichi as well during that time, and I started to put those out weekly or fortnightly. I guess what I'm trying to say is that these videos that I'm making have kind of just evolved naturally, and there's not much in the way of a plan there. I started doing some videos about the camera gear that I use, and some of those videos seem to be attracting more views than a lot of other stuff that I was putting out, and I guess that makes sense. I mean, I enjoy watching those kind of videos too, but I can't really say that that's the path that I want to continue along. I'd much rather be using the gear than just talking about it. If I'm going to continue focusing on photography and videography, I'd much rather be sharing the skills that I'm learning along the way rather than reviewing lenses and all that kind of stuff. I'm not a professional photographer or videographer, but my skills in those areas are always improving, and there are plenty of interesting tips and tricks that I've picked up along the way. So how do I envision the future of this channel? Well, I'm certainly keen on continuing to grow the channel. My partner, Alex, she has a rare autoimmune disease called SAPHO. It's been quite a struggle for her over the last few years. A while back she tried joining a few Facebook support groups for people with SAPHO, but understandably there's quite a lot of negativity on those pages. There's a huge pain component to SAPHO and it's very difficult to treat. But in any case, she found it a little bit off-putting at the time. So anyway, she recently expressed some interest in setting up a blog page where she could talk about her experiences with SAPHO, particularly as it relates to travel, and also just to share her travel experiences with fellow SAPHO sufferers. We're both very aware that Alex's mobility will deteriorate to some degree over time, and that the kind of holidays that we enjoy taking will become more and more difficult. So we're making hay while the sun shines, I guess. Anyway, Alex thought that there might be some value in setting up a blog to share her story, and I thought it was a pretty good idea. And thus, Made2Ramble.com was born. And at this stage, we're both contributing to it. So I'm hoping to grow that site along with the channel. I guess the hope is that by sharing a little more about ourselves, this will set us apart from other travel bloggers, and hopefully our stories might resonate somewhat with others. We don't want to be cardboard cutouts of other travel channels. Our own stories are very different, as are our motivations for traveling. We're not rich by any means. We have a mortgage. We earn just enough money to pay our bills. You know, I might have spent a little money on lenses and guitars over the years, but I'm still driving around a cheap little bomb. You don't make a lot of money caring for people with disabilities. The reason why we can afford to travel is that we pretty much prioritize travel over food. Sadly, we've both recently had a couple of our friends who've retired, only to pass away a few months later. We were pretty gutted in both cases. It's just not worth leaving these things until retirement. We have a huge bucket list to go through and far too little time, and who knows if Alex will be in any condition to travel by that time. And I'm always very conscious as well that another huge depressive episode could sweep me away tomorrow. So we're both making the most of the time that we have. Nobody's going to accuse us of not having lived our lives to the fullest. Anyway, what do we have in store for you this year? It's going to be a good one. In a couple of months, we will be heading to Argentina and then on to Africa. In a couple of months, we will be heading to Argentina and then on to Africa. We'll also be spending some time in Uruguay and Brazil. There should be plenty of videos to come from that trip and plenty of blog entries too. Okay, so I realise that this has been a bit of an odd video, so I'm appreciative to those of you who are still watching. This has been a lot more personal than I'm generally comfortable with. You know, there's that fine line as far as oversharing is concerned, but I think this has been okay. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Do check out our blogs on Made2Ramble.com, and I'll see you again soon.